A lot of passes, I think 27, but he still hasn't had that big game yet that he's been waiting for. An excellent and big, strong offensive line to protect them, so their offense is about as good as it can be.
1st and 10 from the 26. Little maneuvering by the BC Lions on the first offensive play, and it's John Pankratz. The handoff from Roy DeWalt, flipped back to DeWalt. He fired the pass to Pankratz, and the tackle was made by William Mitchell.
Well, they tried to get that ball deep to Sandusky. Here's the defensive line. James Curry is the spearhead in there. They got Walter Beldard from Calgary, and he's helped them an awful lot, too. Two young guys, Glover and Harding, in there. Linebackers, two Canadians, Emery and Moen on the outside, and William Mitchell, who's all-conference guy last year. Their deep backs, they've had a lot of changes there, too. Braisley is back, but the other guys are just new in there, but they've got the experience. They've been playing pretty well.
Kevan Jenkins, 2nd and 4. He finds a big hole. He gets to the outside and is finally forced out of bounds by the safety, Steve Johnson.
Well, that was one of those running plays that we've talked about that you like to see. It was a toss out there.
Chased out of bounds by Steve Johnson.
Looked like a heck of a play on the blackboard.
You want to watch the key block in this particular short yardage play was right here on the end of the line. Nick Hebler will just turn him in, and watch the hole that he has to run through. Nick Hebler does a great job, just walls that linebacker right back inside.
Back to the live action, and Roy DeWalt runs for about 5, maybe 6 yards, stopped by Clyde Glover.
Glover and Mitchell on the tackle.
They'll place the ball at the 42-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts, so it will be 2nd and 4.
You know what surprises me, Don? The BC Lions seem to be the only team in the league wanting to run the football, and for years they never did. Last couple of years they never ran at all.
They have a lot more balance in their attack this year, the way Kevan has started the season. He gets the call again. Another big hole. He could go.
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone.
Brought down right at the 1-yard line by Steve Johnson.
Well, that must be a source of concern for Coach Obilovich, because we talked to him all week, and the thing that he was most worried about was Kevan Jenkins and getting away. This is your regular draw play, and just an excellent job of adjusting when he got to the line of scrimmage. There was nothing there straight ahead, slid down the line of scrimmage, went to the outside, picked up a couple blocks, then used his speed. And if he hits this flag down here in the end zone, it should be a touchdown.
Well, a gain of 41. The first time he carried, he picked up 29, so he already has 70 yards, and Roy DeWalt has the touchdown.
Ron, when they score that easy, sometimes it's a bad sign. They took that ball and went right downfield. This could be an indication that they're going to blow the Argos out tonight, but they could get a little bit complacent, too. That's that big, strong quarterback in there, Roy DeWalt. He didn't have much running over anybody to do. You saw Mitchell come in there and try to get a shoulder in him, but there was a block on Mitchell, and he just carried it right in the end zone.
Well, the BC Lions, after their 5th consecutive victory, certainly looking impressive and away to a quick start tonight as Lou Pasaglia adds the point after. 12:55, the time remaining in this opening quarter, and we'll return to CNE Stadium and the BC kickoff after this. Well, it only took 2 minutes and 5 seconds for the BC Lions to get on the board as Roy DeWalt marched them down the field. 2 key runs by Kevan Jenkins, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, and now Lou Pasaglia prepares to kick off as Conrad Holloway, his leg in a cast, watches from the sidelines.
Conrad doesn't look like he's too concerned about blitzing linebackers tonight, does he?
Not tonight, but he was a little concerned last Friday over at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, and of course it was Mitchell Price that put Conrad out of the ball game. He has been limping a couple of times this year as the result of earlier hits, one in the game against Saskatchewan. Kerry Taylor on the attempted return. He was hit by Eric Emery down at the 17-yard line.
As Mark Cassell, the young quarterback, the big burden is on him tonight. Lester Brown is back in there at running back with Bronk, though, and he'll help out. Jeff Townsend, the Canadian receiver who did so well against Hamilton last week. The rest of the receivers are just the way they have been, with Terry Greer being the deep threat in there. An offensive line without Perrone in there tonight. Tom Trefo is taking his place in there at the guard position.
Pass is complete to Kerry Taylor. He is hit almost immediately. They ruled on that return that Taylor got to the 20-yard line, so the pass is completed for a pickup of 3 out to the 23-yard line.
Well, we talked about that defensive line. Those 4 guys, they could do the job for you. No, not a weakness there. Excellent linebacker. Kevin Konar is kind of the underrated and least talked about, but he's had an outstanding season. And in the secondary, Keith Gooch has moved to the corner, and Jones moved in. That's the only change the Lions have made since the opening game.
Well, Mark Cassell is 2 for 2 as he goes to Kerry Taylor on the second passing play, but it's short of a first down, and Keith Gooch took him out of bounds.
I think you're going to see Don Cassell throw a lot of short passes early in this game and try to complete them, get the rush off of him, build his confidence a little bit. And I talked to him before the game, and I've got a lot of respect for him now because he said he was real nervous, and he'd have to be crazy not to be nervous. In fact, he's about as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
And that is nervous. Hank Olisic stands at his own 13-yard line. Big third down kick. Sandusky will take it at his own 29. Sandusky works his way out to the 39-yard line. A punt of 54 yards by Hank Olisic. His kicking chores tonight will be restricted to punting as Lance Chomik will take over and handle the placement chores. Well, Roy DeWolf certainly put together a drive on the first BC series. Let's see what he comes back with. Lance Chomik out of the University of Toronto. 22-year-old Edmonton product, selected in the 6th round of the 1985 CFL college draft by the Ottawa Roughriders. Then he went to Saskatchewan, and he joined the Argos on a trial earlier in the week. Swing pass to John Pancraft. Good move to get away from Wilson, and he turns it into a gain of about 8 yards. Wilson managed to recover and come back and aid in the tackle.
Well, there's nothing fancy about that. They just have, it's almost like a pick. They just kind of rub off that defensive back, and then they break him back deep to the flag. And if no one stays back with them, they throw deep, but they go short to Pancratz.
Hebler, Klassen, and Potter come in this short yardage situation. The last time this trio came in, they sprung Keevan Jenkins loose for a gain of 29. The pitch to Jenkins. Jenkins bounced off a couple of tackles and manages to get the first down. Carl Brazeley and Don Moon came over to make the tackle.
Play works so well once, they might as well try it again. Exactly the same one. Try to get Gerald Roper and Glenn Leonard especially around that corner. See what happens.
Well, they had William Mitchell playing there in middle linebacker on that short yardage, about 5 full yards deep. I don't know whether that was to get out there on that toss or what, but they're liable to hit it back up the middle the next time.
The ball is at the 33. BC leading by a score of 7-0 to Mervyn Fernandez, one-on-one, and Fernandez got away from the first man and then is taken out of bounds at the 41.
Mo Metcalf, he beat on the outside. Fernandez is going to beat a lot of people on the outside one-on-one.
Wilson and Emery on the tackle.
Metcalf managed to stay with him long enough to get the pursuit over there and help out.
8-yard gain.
There it is out there right now. Watch Metcalf come up now, and he stalks him a little bit there and plays with him and allows that defense to catch up and get over and help out.
Main thing, he brought him back inside where he got some help, Bill.
That's right.
Mervyn Fernandez, the leading pass receiver from the BC Lions for the past 3 years. A short yardage situation. Keevan Jenkins again. Good hold. And another first down to the 54-yard line. Stopped there by Darrell Wilson. And so far, this BC Lion offense has looked awesome.
Well, you have to be impressed with the offensive line in the last couple of years. Those are basically the same people, and all they wanted to do was throw. Some teams will have a hard time adjusting from the throwing game to the running game, but they don't seem to be.
Well, they've been together for a long time, and they are big and strong. Roper and Leonhard, Wilson, the veteran in there, and Blaine and Hillerbrum. That's a big offensive line, and there they go again.
Fernandez with a first down as they had him isolated on the corner on that left side. Carl Brazeley And Brazeley managed to bring Mervyn down, but not before he picked up another first down, a gain of 14.
You know, you talk a lot about BC's defense, and rightly so, but the Argos have played extremely well defensively, too, but they are really vulnerable tonight. As we see DeWalt get it outside to Fernandez, and he just uses that speed and that strength.
DeWalt is forced to run out of that pocket, and he's brought down at the line of scrimmage. James Curry applied the initial pressure, and then he got some help from Rodney Harding. But Kevan Jenkins has already run for 88 yards. And he went over 100 yards last Saturday night against the Montreal Concords. So Kevan Jenkins obviously is going to have a big night tonight here at CNE Stadium. Pass intended for Pancraft, incomplete. Dennis Clay from his inside halfback position was blitzing, and he got to quarterback Roy DeWalt just as he threw the ball.
Well, this is what the Argos have to do. They got to put some pressure on. They brought Dennis Clay from the outside that time and just outnumbered the blockers and got him. But anytime you bring that defensive back like that, you're going to create a one-on-one situation down there. And with the kind of receivers that the BC Lions have, that's dangerous too.
Lou Passaglio will attempt a 49-yard field goal. It is wide, and Jan Carinci concedes the single point. So with 7:53 remaining in this opening quarter, the British Columbia Lions move in front by 8. And I'm looking forward to the Canadian Track and Field Championships. Saturday afternoon, live coverage on CBC Sports Weekend. I'll be joining Jeff Gowan, Jenny Meldrum, and Scott Oak for our CBC Sports Weekend coverage of that one. Cassell throwing over the middle for Kerry Taylor. He's got a first down at the 36-yard line of the BC Lions. Nelson Martin and Mel Bird combined to bring him down.
What I was concerned about is the Lions only rushed 4 men. They dropped to the zone. And watch Cassell step back up inside to avoid the outside rush. He buys some extra time. And then Taylor gets behind the linebackers, makes a good catch. Let's see how long they just continue to sit without going after him.
Well, he looked pretty good throwing that ball too, Ron.
He's 3 for 3. He hands off to Lester Brown, and Lester Brown is stopped after a pickup of about 4 by Glenn Jackson. Lester Brown went out of the Toronto Argonaut lineup a couple of weeks ago against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Sterling Hines came in. And then Sterling Hines was lost for the season in that game against Winnipeg, and Lester Brown, with the other injuries incurred by the Argonauts, is back in the lineup. On this play, however, Jan Carinci is in for Brown. The pass incomplete. It was over the head of Carinci. As a matter of fact, the closest Argonaut to it was Tony Antunovic, the guard, who had moved out to try and lead some blocking downfield.
They tried to set that screen in there to Bronk, and that play works best for the Argonauts when it's real quick. He gets back and hits him quick before that defense can adjust. Those linebackers are moving. That time, they did a pretty good job of hitting Bronk, and he couldn't get open.
Lance Chomick will attempt a field goal from 39 yards out. We were watching him prior to the pregame warm-up, and he was hitting the ball consistently from 55 and 60 yards away.
Somebody must be doing something right at the University of Toronto, because Dean Dorsey over there in Ottawa is also a University of Toronto boy as Chomick takes his field goal.
So Lance Chomick puts the Toronto Argonauts on the board, and leading the applause at the Argo bench is the injured quarterback Conrad Holloway. 8-3. The BC Lions lead the Toronto Argonauts with 6:18 still to be played in this opening quarter, and that has to be a confidence builder for young Chomick.
Well, you know, he was waiting on how many games now to get the opportunity to go in there and kick that first one, and to see it go through the uprights. And his first professional game, I guess it'd be a confidence builder.
First and 10 from the 35 to the sideline. Sandusky makes the catch out of bounds at the 47, a first down for the BC Lions.
This is Sandusky.
Boy, he does that an awful lot, leaving his feet and just catching that ball and not fumbling it once he falls down. He's got excellent hands.
12-yard game. First down.
There's Chomick in his first professional attempt. And look at him. Look at the response of this young man. You don't think he's happy?
First down, BC. DeWalt pumps once, twice, 3 times, finally flips it off the pass off, and it's knocked away by Metcalf. A couple of times it appeared as though DeWalt had a receiver open over the middle, but he opted, as he pumped several times, to go to the outside.
Well, he's going to pay for this. Watch Doug Moan. Or Don Moan, rather. He runs out there. He's open game. Take your shot at him.
Second and 10. Ball is at the 47, trying to set up the screen to John Henry White. And he's brought down by William Mitchell. So the BC Lions are forced into a punting situation again with 5:19 remaining in this opening quarter, as Kerry Taylor will drop back along with Jan Karinci.
Third down.
You know, there's a while, a couple years back, that I felt every time that the Argonauts got the ball that potentially they could do something big with it. I feel this way about this BC Lion team right now. They just look like they're ready to explode at any moment with a long gainer.
Lupus Aglia stands at his own 38-yard line for this third down kick. Karinci lets it bounce and then takes it at the 10. Karinci gets out to the 18-yard line where Ryan Potter was there to greet him, and that's where the Toronto Argonauts will scrimmage first and 10 with 4:50 remaining in this opening quarter when we return to CNE Stadium. Yes, tomorrow, Ron Lancaster and Leo Cahill will be traveling to Calgary to join Steve Armitage for coverage of that game on Saturday night involving the Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Inside handoff with Lester Brown. He is stopped after a pickup of about 3. Something I think we might watch tonight defensively as far as the Lions are concerned is number 99, Nick Hebler. He more or less has been given the green light to do as he wishes from that defensive end position tonight.
That's a good way to have it if you're the defensive end. I know it'll drive somebody crazy. You hope that he does the right thing and stays outside on the quarterback's number 1. But if you're going to turn someone loose, him or Parker's as good as any.
Mark Casal is brought down, and he had 3 orange and white jerseys surrounding him, and it was Rick Clausen who actually made the tackle, forcing the Argos to kick it away again.
Well, it didn't take them long. Second series, they went after him.
You know, although Casal is a fairly good runner, he certainly isn't in the same category with some of the other quarterbacks that can run in this league. And I think that's why they're giving these defensive linemen from the BC Lions a little bit more green light on their rush lanes. They're just turning him loose, not being that much concerned about his running. Plus the fact that they like to get him in the open field. He's a big target to hit at.
Hank Olisic under pressure from Nick Hebler. Hit that one off the side of his foot, and it bounces out of bounds at the 47-yard line of the BC Lions. A kick of 41 yards by Hank Olisic, so Roy DeWolf will again enjoy rather good field position for this offensive series.
41 yards.
We talked about this before, Don. Sometimes when a team comes out and gets the ball and just goes right down and scores, they kind of get a false sense of values out there, and they slow down a little bit. Now, we'll see if the BC Lions are going to pick up this time, but they've kind of gone into a kind of a little sluggishness after that first big score they had.
Fernandez wide right, Sandusky out to the left. Ron Robinson in motion across the formation. The handoff with Kevan Jenkins carrying the ball, and he gets to the midfield strike. He was caught by Rodney Harding, but that will be a gain of close to 8 as Kevan Jenkins in this first quarter with 3:19 remaining is moving in on 100 rushing yards.
He's going to gain those kind of yards. He hasn't been really limited to anything less than 6 or 7 yards every time he's touched it, so keep running.
The thing you like about him is that those holes don't have to be open too much. He'll find something.
Didn't find one that time as he was met by William Mitchell, the middle linebacker, right at the line of scrimmage.
That's a tackle.
William Mitchell made the tackle.
Well, that's why William Mitchell's been lining up so deep, Don. We said the middle linebacker is deep. He's keying on that running back, and wherever he goes, you can bet he's going to show up. And look at this. Right where he should have been. He put a good hit on him. That might slow him down. That'll hurt his average.
Probably hurt his chin bone a little bit, too.
William Mitchell, who came to the Argos from Ottawa in 1982 with a big defensive play. And now Lou Pasaglia on third down kicks it away. And again, Jan Carinci lets it bounce, and he is going to go into the end zone to concede the single point. Actually, he will draw a no yards flag as Eric Emery had encroached upon that 5-yard area.
Last 2 games in a row that Carinci has done the same thing. That's an excellent job on his part of faking like he's going to pick the ball up, drawing the defense.
No yards. BC 35, decline.
Now they're still going to take the point and bring it out to the 35, Dan.
Actually, Carinci almost mishandled that ball as it appeared to hit the side of his leg, and it almost got away from him. And Eric Emery, product of Cal Fullerton, was guilty of that no yards infraction, but it really didn't matter because the BC Lions will get the single point. The penalty is declined, and the Toronto Argonauts are hoping that this will improve their field position as they're out at the 35. Here, the intended receiver intercepted by Flash. Darnell Flash picked that one off, and very quickly the BC Lion offense moves back onto the playing field here at CNE Stadium, leading by a 9-3 margin.
Well, Terry Greer gave him a post flag move and turned Clash around, but Clash came out of it the winner as he turns right into the football.
Terry Greer looked like he fell and hurt his hand or his arm on that, too. He was kind of holding it funny going off the field.
First down, Lions.
Well, the backup quarterback tonight for the Argos is Mike Hohensee, and that's the result of Conrad Holloway being injured last Friday against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. DeWalt throwing deep for Sandusky, incomplete. Almost appeared to be a mix-up. Sandusky and Robinson were within just a couple of yards of each other in the same area.
I think what he wanted really is that type of pattern that they just threw is only good against a 3-deep zone where there's 3 men and you try to send one down on each side of the safety men and then throw away from him. They played it man-to-man, so that means there's a guy with him all the way down the field.
There's also 2 people right in the area, both pass receivers, which kind of leads you to believe that they may have blown the pattern.
Second and 10. The ball is at the 42.5-yard line. Sideline for Sandusky. He was out of bounds. He was trying to maintain his balance, keep his feet in bounds, unable to do so on that throw from Roy DeWalt. So again, BC Lions, leading by a 9-3 margin, are forced into a punting situation with 1:32 remaining in this opening quarter.
Not any argument at all from the BC bench, so you know he was out of bounds.
BC Lions, winners of their first 4 games in this 1985 season, chalking up victories at the expense of Edmonton, Calgary, Hamilton, and Montreal. Jan Carinci takes it at his 30-yard line. They're trying to set up the blocking to the left. Carinci tried to maneuver in behind it, but he was caught and brought down by Mark Napierkowski.
37 yards.
Jan Carinci from the University of Maryland has enjoyed a great career so far in professional football. Bob Bobilovich feels he's one of the most valuable players on the team. But if he does have a fault, Ron, it's that he is so intense when he gets the football on making an extra yard that sometimes he's susceptible to fumbling.
Yeah, those type of ball players usually are. You know, they're real intense. They're aggressive. They just keep hustling and take too many hits sometimes.
We're into the final minute of the opening quarter. It's 9-3 with BC in front. The pass complete to Paul Pearson. He tried to dance down those sidelines. He got to the 40-yard line, maybe the 41, before he was forced out by Mel Bird.
Paul Pearson is kind of the counterpart of Pankratz. Both excellent receivers, one for Vancouver, one for the BC Lions, one for the Argos. But Pearson has been really hampered this year with hamstrings. He really has cut down on his efficiency as a pass receiver.
He's a University of British Columbia grad, as are 4 members of the BC Lions. Second and 2, complete to Terry Greer, and he is stopped by Darnell Flash.
As long as Mark Casal can get back quick, set up and throw it quick, the BC rush won't hurt him. It's when he takes his time and allows that defense to go after him, then you have a problem.
Pearson slides right out in the flat, the same as he did before on this play. And Greer just runs the slant pattern from the outside. You see Pearson, number 25, getting to the outside. There's the slant in there to Greer. Catches the ball for a good gainer.
Back to the live action. It's Kerry Taylor on the sidelines. He'll be close to another first down. Stopped by Kevin Konar.
Now, I think BC is going to have to pick up and come back a little bit now. I think they just took for granted it was going to be too easy early in this ball game. And the Argos are starting to move now, patching up their defense a little bit, and every pass that this young man completes is going to build his confidence.
Well, the British Columbia Lions will get a break on the 1985 schedule after this game, as the Lions don't play again until the 17th of August when they take on the Calgary Stampeders. And you'll see that game on the CBC television network on Saturday, August the 17th from the Dome in Vancouver. The measurement revealed a first down for Toronto. Cassell throwing for Taylor. He hands on despite the hit from Nelson Martin.
Well, that's a great catch because he was really leveled by Nelson Martin.
He stuck it in there pretty good, too, as a passer. I like his style, the way he throws that football.
Well, that catch by Kerry Taylor coming on the final play of the opening quarter, and now the Toronto Argonauts are in excellent scoring position, first and 10 at the 14-yard line.
Well, watch Cassell. He wants to throw it quick. Can't do it now. He's looking around. Watch Kerry Taylor right down the middle of the screen. Watch the hit from number 4, Nelson Martin. Ball popped loose, and he grabbed it the second time. Good concentration.
Ron, you know the thing that looks impressive about this young quarterback is his feet. He's got excellent feet and excellent balance, and he's on balance when he throws the football. And in college, he threw the ball an awful lot. I heard him talking to a radio man before the game. He said he threw 40 times a game.
You see the statistics of that first quarter. It's been the BC rushing game against the passing game of the Toronto Argonauts. And I've been impressed with the way Mark Cassell has put that ball in the air tonight. He's completed 7 of 9. His favorite target has been Kerry Taylor. It's first and 10. Toronto, the opening play of quarter 2 from the 14. Cassell, touchdown to Kerry Greer, wide open.
Well, you have to be really impressed with the way he's playing, and that touchdown's going to give him nothing but confidence now.
Oh, when he ran off that field, he was sure that he could do something tonight. He hasn't been sure up until now. He's a very confident young man. He's just taken the football team down the field against the best defense in Canada and made it look pretty shabby. He's done a pretty good job.
So for Terry Greer, a team record tonight. 7 consecutive games with a touchdown reception, and that ties the Argonaut team mark initially established by Al Pfeiffer 30 years ago. And with the point after, the Toronto Argonauts move into a 1-point lead over the British Columbia Lions.
We're going to see this play. Watch this kid's feet. He moves his feet extremely well, bounces back and forth, gets set, and drills that ball into Terry Greer. And Terry Greer is so wide open that it's... Take it, Ron.
Well, you had all those receivers out the other way, and Greer's the only man there. And he found the open area, and I'll say as open as not another jersey in sight.
Open as a white goat on a mountain.
In just 5 plays, the Argos moved 78 yards. The big play was the pass to Kerry Taylor, but it was Terry Greer who finished it off in the end zone as Conrad Holloway, the injured quarterback, congratulates him on the effort and undoubtedly discusses some of the patterns that those receivers are running tonight.
Conrad is really saying, Terry, don't let this kid look so good. Wait a minute now.
And Chomik trying to chip it into the hole, but it's picked off by Mark DeBrays. And he's caught immediately by William Mitchell, but there's also a penalty flag on the play at the 34-yard line.
Think it could be a face mask?
Like that.
Indeed it is against the Argonauts' William Mitchell.
Major foul, face mask. Toronto 39. First down.
So the Toronto Argonauts, leading by 1, send their defensive unit out there to try and stop the BC Lions. They've shut down the passing game pretty well so far, but the Wolf throws it up for Fernandez. Incomplete. Carl Brazeley was there defending against Swerve and Mervyn.
Boy, Brazeley lost that ball completely, turning his back to the passer that time, and normally Fernandez, when he's got a situation like that, will go up there and get it.
As soon as I saw the ball underthrown, as we'll see here, I figured Fernandez would just turn and jump, as he normally does inside and get it, but Brazeley got that hand up high and knocked it down.
Just recovered in time.
Brazeley moves out to his left corner position, and again he is facing Mervyn Fernandez, and that's something that the left corners find most times. They're covering the #1 receiver in the league, or on the team, I should say, and that is Sandusky taking the pass for a first down out of bounds. Bo Metcalf and Darrell Wilson forced them out.
Well, anybody that doesn't think DeWalt's got a strong arm ought to look at that play right there. He got back off balance and shot that thing over to the sidelines, about a 45-yard pass on a trajectory. Right on the money.
First down, Lions.
Sandusky to the left. Fernandez lines up to the right. First and 10. The ball is at the 47 of Toronto. Draw play with Keevan Jenkins. He gets to the 40-yard line. And that'll put him over 100 yards rushing for the night as he's brought down by William Mitchell. Jenkins and Tyrone Cruz were the Pacific Western Players of the Week in the Canadian Football League for their effort against the Montreal Concorde on Saturday night. The Lions trying to extend their unbeaten string in regular season play to 10 games. Pressure from the backside as Wilson was twisting. They tried to dump it off over the middle to John Henry White, but that big pressure was coming from the blitzing halfback, Darrell Wilson.
Well, when these two backs go away to block this side, watch Darrell Wilson come from the outside, and as Leo said earlier, you just run out of blockers. You don't have enough people to pick all those guys up. Darrell Wilson comes free. They try to come out late, just gets rid of the ball and pays for it.
Well, I tell you, if he would have hit him right there, he'd have gone a long way, because Emery was back 3 or 4 steps behind him. If he would have hit him with the flow, he might have got it blocked by that outside man down there. He could have gone the distance.
48-yard field goal attempt by Fasaglia. It's good. So with 12:52 remaining in this second quarter, BC Lions regain the lead. They're in front by 2. We'll be back right after. These days is, will there be a season following the strike deadline next Tuesday?
Well, there was a little article in the paper today that said that they've taken the betting down at Vegas off of whether there's going to be a strike or not. So if those people don't know, who does?
First and 10 from the 35-yard line. The Toronto Argonauts preparing to scrimmage. And I think Bob Obilovich, the head man, has to be very pleased with what he's seen from young Mark Cassell tonight.
Oh, I'd be very happy. I know Bob's got to be very pleased. The kids moved him twice now, once for a field goal, once for a touchdown, so he doesn't have to worry about Cassell right now anyway.
Little bit of a mix-up. Kerry Taylor took the ball for a pickup of 2. James Parker made the tackle, but it appeared as though Cassell and Taylor weren't quite certain of which way the other was going to go on that play. Don Matthews, the 11th coach in the history of the BC Lions. He has certainly had a very impressive winning percentage since joining the club from Edmonton. That screen to Lester Brown, caught immediately by Rick Clausen.
Boy, Clausen played that about as well as you can. They usually have a defensive lineman that they call the spy man. And he's in charge of delivering a blow on the offensive blocker and just hanging in there and looking for any screens that may come up the middle. You'll see number 90.
What's 91?
Rick Clausen.
It's locked and then Clausen.
90 makes a good play, too, and Clausen comes in and closes it down.
That is a good job. That, you say the spy man happened to be in the right place.
Only one man back for this third down kick by Hank Olisic. It's Darnell Clash taking the ball at the 34.
Hold on.
He has that move where he spins people, and it works to perfection again as he gets it all the way back to the 52 of Toronto before being stopped by Dan Rashovich.
I heard Clash say that he's a little bit disenchanted by the fact that he returned one for a touchdown that was called back. But he knows that those blockers are trying their best to open things up for him. Watch him make a turn. Just a great spin there, stays on his feet, picks up blockers, and he is dangerous every time he gets the football.
Herman Fernandez is dangerous every time he gets that football, and Bo Metcalf must have been schooled in that regard because he was on him quickly.
Well, they like to throw that pattern, but I'll tell you, when Metcalf is 200 pounds and about 6'3", when he comes up there, he'll hit you pretty good, and the ball's thrown low, and that puts Fernandez right at his mercy. And he didn't show him any.
It's actually a loss of 1. It will be 2nd and 11. 11:07 the time remaining in this second quarter. 12-10, the BC Lions lead. DeWalt throwing deep for Sandusky, incomplete. He was being watched by the safety Johnson and Carl Graisley. Rodney Harding was applying the pressure to quarterback Roy DeWalt.
Well, Sandusky came down in there to try to rub off Dennis Clay, and Dennis Clay just gave him a pretty good shot, and that delayed him from getting out there. And that helps your corner because that allows Graisley to get back there to get it. Those receivers want to run close to those defensive backs, they're going to get hit.
Carinci and Taylor are back to accept Lou Pasaglia's third down punt. It will bounce out of bounds. No chance for a return at the 16-yard line. So that's where the Toronto Argonauts will be scrimmaging following that 37-yard kick by Lou Pasaglia. Point out that viewers in Southern Ontario and Windsor will see the German Grand Prix beginning at 4 Eastern Time. The rest of the country will see the Grand Prix at the conclusion of the Expo baseball game Sunday afternoon. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 16. Cassell to Pearson. He's caught and wrapped up by Mel Bird. He improves his passing percentage, but doesn't pick up much yardage on that throw to Paul Pearson.
Donnie Matthews, I think, on the sideline there shows a little indication that he is wondering when his BC Lions are going to start moving. He never does show much emotion on the sidelines, but when you're 4-0, you want to be 5-0.
I don't know where Cassell was throwing that one, but he missed the intended target, if it was Terry Greer, by about 20 yards.
Well, that pattern he threw for the touchdowns, all the receivers to one side of the field and Greer over there by himself. And I think he anticipated Greer going deep because he sure threw it a long way. But the one thing about it, he threw it over everybody's head.
He's saying, Coach Obilovich is saying, Mark, Terry's fast, but he's not that fast.
So Hank Olisic, relieved of the place-kicking chores for tonight's game, can concentrate on his putting duties. And he'd like to get a good one away here with just one man back. He stands at his own 5-yard line. Here's some pressure from the outside, and he was hurried with that kick. It bounces to Darnell Clash at the 53. He's still on his feet, and they're ruling that he was down. The Argos were fortunate on that one because he was gone. He kept bouncing off the tacklers, and apparently the whistle had gone.
Well, there's no question the whistle did blow, and when that whistle blows, it's all over.
Well, this kicks off Week 5 in the Canadian Football League. Tomorrow night, 2 games, Ottawa at Edmonton, Hamilton at Montreal, and then on Saturday, Saskatchewan visits Calgary, and a game you'll see on CBC television. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 53. Drop play is Steve Van Jenkins, caught immediately by James Curry.
James Curry made the tackle.
Actually, the BC Lions have had excellent field position the last couple of times they've had the ball and haven't really been able to capitalize. And DeWalt seems like on a sure passing down that he's going deep all the time, Ron.
Yeah, he sure has.
Those backs coming out of the backfield have been open, too.
2nd and 12 from midfield with 9:04 remaining in this first half. DeWalt passing over the middle. It's complete to Pankratz, but he'll be stopped short of the first down by Darrell Wilson.
DeWalt fast.
Wilson covered that one about as well as you can, and Pankratz made an exceptional catch.
Actually, they called it incomplete.
Let's see what happens. He does turn. The ball's thrown right on the money, but it's an excellent defensive play.
Somewhere in between the time that ball was jostled and the time he hit the ground, it got loose, but we couldn't see it.
Well, our end zone camera revealed that that ball did pop away, so it's a third down punt at the 40-yard line. Bisaglia hits it high, and it will take a big bounce, and Carinci will let it roll into the end zone and will concede the single point.
Pavel Bilovich is making sure that his quarterback, Mark Cassell, the young guy from Montclair, doesn't start in bad field position. He's going to get him out to that 35-yard line because that's about 3 punts now. They've made no effort at all to catch. They've let it go in the end zone. I don't know if I agree with it, but one thing about it, looking at it from a quarterback's standpoint, it's much better to start at your 35.
I think that's what the coach feels, that as long as this kid needs some experience in there, he's not going to put him added in position of starting him down on the goal line.
A 55-yard single by Lou Bisaglia gives the Lions a 13-10 lead. Cassell to the sidelines to Pearson, and he is forced out of bounds by Tyrone Cruz. Tyrone Cruz, number 91, was another CFL Star of the Week for his performance against the Montreal Concorde. There's a penalty flag downfield in the vicinity of the 45-yard line.
Coach Matthews says, take him back. That's a defensive coach's thinking. He's not worried about wasting it down. He says, take him back, let's have some good field position, and we'll hold him.
Let's listen to referee Lorne Woods.
Illegal interference. Toronto number 10. First down receiver.
So Terry Greer was guilty of that interference. And that moves the ball back to the 25. It will be first and 20 now. And you can bet that the Lions will be going after him. They put some pressure on and hurry the throw with Kerry Taylor, the intended receiver.
Just as well that ball was thrown into the ground. Andre Jones was just sitting there waiting on him to catch the football. He had him all lined up.
8:03 is the time left in this first half. The BC Lions in front of Toronto, 13-10. The ball is at the 25-yard line. It's second and 20. Kerry Taylor, the leading receiver last week, the leading receiver in tonight's game for the Argos. Cassell is forced to run the ball, and he steps out of bounds after a pickup of 4. So the Argos are forced into a punting situation again.
So Bob Bilovich talking to Terry Greer. He had gone deep down the sidelines, and then when the quarterback was in trouble, he came back to the sideline. Even if he had thrown him the football, he wouldn't have made the first down, and I think he just elected to keep it himself. If he'd have caught it, he'd only gained about 11 yards.
This time Sandusky joins Clash on the punt return team.
He's going to have to fight him for the ball. That Clash loves to return him.
Again, Alisic, not a particularly good punt. Sandusky took it on the run and ran out of room as he was wrapped up by Cliff Hewitt. 7:16 is the time remaining in the half. Mark Cassell, the Argos starting quarterback, in place of the injured Conrad Holloway.
I tell you, when you put he and Roy DeWalt side by side, you have two pretty healthy-looking young'uns. They're both about 6'3", about 250 and 220.
Good field position for the Lions. DeWalt under some pressure, goes to the sideline, incomplete. It was intended for Pankratz.
DeWalt's pass intended for Pankratz. Incomplete.
Tonight, Cassell has by far the better passing percentage. The BC Lions have been successful in moving the football along the ground. Cassell actually 6'3", 230 pounds. and Roy DeWalt, 6'2", 210 pounds. So two big quarterbacks directing their respective teams' attack in tonight's game. DeWalt under pressure, and he is dropped for a loss by James Curry. Curry, the much-traveled ex-BC Lion, putting pressure on his former teammate and dropping him for a loss back at the 50.
Well, that's the third or fourth time that they've started the ball right at midfield and haven't done anything with it. Roy DeWalt goes back, takes a look downfield, two-man pattern, they're both covered, looks back to the other side, there's nobody there, and they just storm in on him. But you can't waste that kind of field position time after time. You've got to do something with it.
Again, the Argo punt return people let the ball bounce into the end zone. And Carinci concedes another single point. A 50-yard kick by Lou Pasaglia. Well, if we were at the Dome at the stadium at BC Place with that noise from the stands, they'd be going Lou, Lou, Lou. But here at CNE Stadium, it's boo, as they are not thrilled with the decision by the Toronto Argonauts to let those balls bounce into the end zone.
They don't like the game plan, do they?
Indeed they don't, but I think it's a pretty good decision on the part of Coach Bob Vavilovich. Lester Brown was tripped up in the backfield. Penetration made by James Parker. I saw him in the lobby of the hotel today, all dressed up. I said to Nick Hepler, is he always dressed up? He said, at 7 in the morning. I don't think the man owns a pair of blue jeans, but he has a lot of suits, a lot of shoes, and he is always dressed as though he's going out in the town. Right about now, the Toronto Argonauts probably wish he was out in the town instead of in that backfield harassing Cassell. Cassell gets the pass away. It's tipped by Nelson Martin, intended for Kerry Taylor.
Martin just mistimed his jump. I thought he was going to intercept that, but he was in the air a long time, and when he was coming down, the ball was just getting there.
Well, Martin did a good job coming from his rover position there because Taylor had him beat on the outside. Martin just came like the big old center fielder over there and went to the football, but as you said, Ron, it was a little premature with his jumper. He would have had himself an interception.
So it's third down for the Toronto Argonauts. And again, just Darnell Clash back for this third down kick. Alissic's last kick only traveled 25 yards. They've been putting some pressure on him. They'll try and get to this one again, but he gets away a good kick this time. Darnell Clash back at his own 31-yard line. He tries that spinning maneuver, but is unable to escape the grasp of the first man downfield, Don Moon.
43-yard kick by
This is the worst field position, Don, that they've had in a long time, and they're still up around the 44-yard line.
Moon, another product of the University of British Columbia. The BC Lions have certainly done well from the two schools in their vicinity, UBC and Simon Fraser. 7 Simon Fraser grads in their roster and 4 from the University of British Columbia.
Hometown flavor.
DeWalt to Pancratz. First down near midfield. Let's see where they place it. Carl Braisley made the tackle.
Braisley made the tackle.
It appeared his progress had carried to the midfield stripe, but they mark it, as you see, just shy of center field. But it is enough for a first down. 4:20 is the time left in this first half. 14-10. The BC Lions in front of the Toronto Argonauts. DeWalt to Kay Van Jenkins. He was unable to hang on when hit by Don Moon. They ruled out an incomplete pass. Some of the Argos and their fans thought it was a completion and a fumble, but such was not the case.
Well, when you force that quarterback to throw it underneath the coverage, like he had to throw to the short guy, then those linebackers will react up on it hard, and Moan came in from the back and hit him pretty good in the back and jarred it loose. That's the way defense is supposed to be played.
Fernandez wide left, Sandusky out to the right. Second and 10, Sandusky makes the catch, and he had Carl Braisley all over him.
Boy, that was a good play, a good pass, and a good catch, because as you said, Don, Braisley had about as good a coverage as you could have on that play, and they had a big blitz. which put a one-on-one situation down there with Brazeley on Sandusky. Watch them all come. He didn't have much time to throw it, but he got it there right where you had to get it. Sandusky squeezed it.
When they'll blitz like that, the quarterback can throw it down low. The linebackers aren't there, and that really helps the quarterback.
1st and 10 from the 41. DeWalt under pressure. He'll be caught from behind and dropped by James Curry. It was Curry who made the initial penetration, flushing DeWalt out of the pocket, and then he caught him from behind.
Well, that was a good 6-step drop before he started thinking about looking, and the penetration got in there, and when he did step up inside, it was too late because the defender caught him.
Remaining in the half here at CNE Stadium, and wherever you're looking in across the CBC television network tonight, we hope you're enjoying Thursday night CFL action on CBC. Second and long. The ball is dropped again by James Curry.
Okay, Pancratz was so open that time, but I don't think DeWalt didn't see him. He was just all by himself. Steve Roy coming back here, and he never gets set to throw the football until he's back there about on a 6-step drop. Then he sees Curry come in there, and it's too late to look downfield, and Pancratz broke wide open.
Actually, I'm going to correct Leo. I don't think he saw him at all. He came in from behind. He may have felt him, but he didn't see him.
Okay.
Lou Pasaglia's 3rd down kick. Gary Taylor takes it at the 7-yard line. Nowhere to go. And Ryan Potter was the first downfield to make contact.
Taylor returned the kick for the Argonauts.
Well, 2:40 left in the half. This is about as far back as Toronto started. That's the first punt they've caught. They're on their 10-yard line. Let's see if the Lions go after him right away. First down.
You know, when you talk about potential Carling O'Keefe game stars, you have to give James Curry some consideration because he has made 3 or 4 quarterback sacks so far tonight.
Boy, sure has. He's really played well. That last play, he just beat the guard, Gerald Roper, one-on-one. Went in clean.
1st and 10 from the 10. Cassell for Gray. He was unable to hang on. I am not sure that ball may have been deflected as he went up.
He took his eyes off the football just at the last.
I think he was checking the terrain.
So it will be 2nd and 10 with 2:35 remaining in the half. BC in front of Toronto 14-10. The Argos with a 2-2 record, and the British Columbia Lions unbeaten in their first 4 starts. The pitch to Lester Brown. He is going nowhere. He was wrapped up immediately by Nick Hebler, and then he got some help from Mike Ray.
You know, a guy that really is a lot of times underestimated is that first guy that gets in there and stirs things up in the backfield. A lot of times he doesn't make the tackle, but he breaks the consistency of the play, makes the back change directions, and then any good defense just zeroes in on him. And Nick Hebler is great at getting that penetration.
Nick Hebler, who for the past 2 years has been out of the BC lineup for at least part of the season as the result of injury.
They say Nick Hebler doesn't get ulcers, he gives them.
He has been one of the dominant defensive players in the CFL for the past 4 years. Good kick. Chases Darnell Clash back to midfield, and he fumbled the ball back to his own 53, but it went out of bounds, so there's no opportunity for a return after that 48-yard punt by Hank Olisic. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will be facing Calgary Saturday night on CFL action on CBC, and we'll have a report on the Saskatchewan Roughriders at halftime. We'll also have updates on what's transpiring in the world of sport on this Thursday night.
There it goes. He's got him beat. DeWalt passing for Fernandez, knocked down by Steve Johnson, the safety who came over to help out Bo Metcalf. Well, Metcalf has been very aggressive this first half and coming up and making plays on Fernandez. That time Fernandez went down and bent it to the outside. give him the look to the outside, and then turn it downfield. And here you see him as he's turned it downfield, and it was just a great reaction from the inside that time that stopped the play because he had Metcalf beat, but Dennis Clay come over there and helped out.
I think that replay also showed something else about Mervyn Fernandez. If you watched his eyes concentrating on that ball, not blinking as he ran down the field.
Well, that's a good receiver has to do that. He has to be able to find that ball. That's the only thing that's important to him. Here they come.
I'm going to say complete to Sandusky over the middle. He was wide open, but could not hang on.
He'd have gone a long way on that one, too, if he caught that pass. But a big rush by the Argos that time, but DeWalt had the presence of mind to dump the ball off, and it was just a little bit off, but still catchable, Ron.
Well, they blitz 8 people, like you say, and the guy goes right into the middle, and he was wide open, and DeWalt looked immediately in there, found him. He couldn't throw it any better.
This game started as though the Lions were going to blow the Argos right out of the park, and I'm sure many of their followers here at CNE Stadium felt the same. But the Argo defensive unit has settled down, and they have pretty much restricted the play of the BC Lions since then. Jan Carinci on the return to his 26-yard line. Jamie Blease was there to make the tackle. That was a 43-yard kick by Lou Fasaglia. 1:47 the time left in the half. A 4-point advantage for the BC Lions. Of course, number 1 of all time in the CFL for punt return yardage is Paul Bennett of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Mark Cassell, 1st and 10 from his own 26. He's in trouble, brought down by Mike Gray. Well, at the start of our telecast, we said that Cassell would have his hands full tonight with the front 4 of the BC Lions. The 2 ends, Parker and Hepler, and Clausen and Gray inside.
He sprinted this way, and Glenn Jackson got out underneath the receiver. Now he scrambles around, and Mike Gray, he's leading them right now with 5 sacks. He just picks up another one. Played real well this year for them.
Cassell passing along the sidelines, intended for Terry Greer, incomplete. Darnell Clash was over there defending.
Boy, he about took that referee's hat off. In fact, he did take his hat off.
So with 1:23 remaining in the half, the BC Lions will get another opportunity.
This will be the 5th or 6th time that they've gotten the ball just about at midfield and haven't done much with it. It's a tribute to the Argos, the way they're playing, but I think it also kind of bears testimony to what I said earlier, that when a team scores as easy as the BC Lions did on their first drive, they sometimes take something out of them, and that's exactly what's happened. They're not the same football team after that.
Well, the BC Lions have called a timeout with 1:23 remaining on the clock. Nick Hepler, getting back into the play very quickly, went over to the official to indicate a timeout. The Lions with 179 yards. They have an advantage along the ground, while the Argos have the edge through the air. Toronto has only been able to run the ball for 13 yards tonight. They have been concentrating solely on the passing attack.
Okay. So you want to be an official, huh? Just watch this one. Clash said, "You're in my way, Mr. Referee," and just took his hat off. Again, Darnell Clash is the lone punt return man back at midfield as Hank Alisic prepares to kick. Again, he was under pressure, but still got away a great kick. Clash to the 45, and then out of bounds at the 50-yard line. Well, it's a lonesome feeling when you get on field, when you catch that ball, and they've got the rush on, and there's nobody blocking for you. There's about 8 dark jerseys coming at you.
Well, it was Keith Gooch who was coming up the middle, putting the pressure on Hank Olsen. And with 1:13 remaining, the Lions are 1st and 10 from their own 52. A 50-yard kick by Hank Olisic, a run back of 11 by Darnell Clash. Over the middle, John Henry White is into Toronto the territory at the 53. Stopped there by Don Moan. The BC Lions with that hurry-up offense trying to put more points on the board before they go to the dressing room for the halftime break. Over the middle to Kevan Jenkins, another first down for the BC Lions as he fights to the 46. Stopped there by William Mitchell.
Well, it seemed to me that those backs coming out of the backfield have been open all night, and Roy has been concentrating more on deeper patterns, but he just has a little bit of patience. I think he can move this football team.
Doesn't agree with the official's call, obviously. He thought it should have been a completion and a fumble.
Pablo Vilovich just asserted himself a little bit there with both arms up. And certainly he wasn't saying that the meek inherits the earth.
I think he may have a valid argument.
He just might.
2nd and 10. Complete to Kevan Jenkins. Down the sidelines he goes. Touchdown!
I'll tell you, I never would have thought that play would go for a touchdown.
Well, he turned on a little bit of speed on there. He didn't have much margin down that sideline. But when he got that ball, and I think the Argonauts are probably the most surprised people in the world because they didn't think he was going to score either.
Well, you know, they did what they wanted to do. They forced him to throw it to the short guy. Look, trouble is there's nobody there with him. Let's see what Pankratz does. Does he help him? Does a good job. Just kind of stands there.
It almost appears as though Carl Braisley thought he had stepped out of bounds as he came over. But Kevan Jenkins showing exceptional balance and going down those sidelines. He didn't have much room there, and he stayed in bounds with the point after by Lou Pasaglia. It's now 21-10. The BC Lions in front of Toronto, and Kevan Jenkins has reason to smile.
Kevan saying, give me the ball, I'll do it. I think they got away from that toss to him a little prematurely. Mitchell came in and hit him one time there, and they just quit running that toss play to him. But watch him tightrope down the sidelines. There's not much room there. He just outruns everybody. Stays on his feet, takes it right in. Great balance.
Well, you talked about him in the opening as far as his explosiveness and probably been the key ingredient this year in the BC Lion offense. I don't think many people would disagree with him.
Don't you think, though, that they kind of got away from it after Mitchell made that real nice stop on that first down? He just tackled pretty hard. They said, well, maybe that's not working tonight. I think they should have stayed with him a little bit more because this guy is dangerous.
I think they'll come back. Gary
Taylor catches the ball in the end zone. I'm not sure that was a wise decision. If he let that one go, I think it would have gone right through the end zone.
Well, the thing is, with 42 seconds left in the half, what you want to do is get out of there and not take a point and use up your 42 seconds. They just gave away a point on that one. It's not like they wanted to improve field position because they've got a long way to go to the 35-yard line to try to get points on the board with 42 seconds. Now watch them get on there and kick a field goal.
I'll agree with you. I can understand them giving the points up on the punts, but with 42 seconds, you don't give them anything.
On the 35.
First and 10 from the 35. Pass is complete, but Tyrone Cruz is making sure that Bob Bronk isn't going anywhere as he wrapped him up right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, these guys are schooled so well defensively. The more you're on the football team, the more you understand that it just takes a certain degree and a certain amount of chemistry on a football team to make it a good one, and they've got the chemistry on it.
Well, they sure do. Their defense, as you say, they make very few mistakes.
Casal runs out of room. 31 seconds remain in the half.
Well, you can see Bob Bogdanovich get a little bit upset there. I think what he's upset about is with the pass to Bronk in the field of play, Casal should have gone in the huddle and used his 20 seconds and tried to kill the clock. This way, he's going to give the Lions another chance.
That's a real good point.
Inexperience at the quarterbacking position.
And this guy right standing out there in front of you, number one, you never know what he's going to do when he gets the ball. He might end up at Lake Michigan. Now, is this Lake Ontario?
Where are we?
It's one of the five, Leo. catch this one with 25 seconds remaining. Look out!
They're going to get a field goal out of it.
They may get a touchdown. They got time for a couple plays before they have to kick it. 17 seconds.
A run back of 38 yards after a 41-yard punt by Hank Olisic, and he showed tremendous balance.
This is Mr. Excitement. He knows where to bob and weave and knit and crochet when he goes down that sideline.
17 seconds remaining. It's 1st and 10 for the BC Lions from the 35-yard line. Kevan Jenkins gets the call, and he is down to the 27-yard line with 12 seconds remaining. William Mitchell was there to make the tackle, so it's 2nd and 3.
Donnie Matthews says enough of this nonsense. Get in there, Pasqualia. Lou Pasaglia, born and raised in the shadow of Empire Stadium in Vancouver. Played there for a lot of years, now is in the Vancouver place. Real favorite.
I'm a little surprised. I thought they may have had time for 2 plays.
Well, when he decided to run the football, then you might as well go ahead and do it and get it over with. He was just trying to get to the field goal position, so he'd accomplished that.
Bisaglia with the kick. It's good. And the BC Lions go to the dressing room with a 15-point lead. The Lions in front of the Toronto Argonauts after 30 minutes here at CNE Stadium by a score of 25-10. Now, stay tuned for our halftime show. Another big night, running for 109 yards, and he hauled in 2 passes for 53 more. So of that Lions total offense, he has contributed 162 yards. The Lions with a big edge in running with the ball, and they have also moved ahead now in throwing the football. Roy DeWalt hitting on 12 of 25 attempts. Mark Cassell, 11 of 18. And it's 25-10, BC leading Toronto at halftime.
As I look over my shoulder, I see a couple of dapper gentlemen standing by at Exhibition Stadium. Once again, Ron Lancaster and Leo Kane.
Oh, Brian, back here at CNE, it's 25-10, and actually I thought that the BC Lions had it too easy on that first drive. Ron, they got that 7 points too easily, and until the end of the first half there, they really didn't assert themselves, and I thought the Argos had multiple opportunities to get back in that ball game and possibly get ahead.
Well, I was a little bit surprised. You mentioned it in the second quarter that they got away from the running game to Kevan Jenkins.
I think they're going to get back with the running game, though, and you can tell Jenkins wants to get back in there and wants to get that ball just as soon as possible. He's a great running back.
Well, that's the way a running back should be, but what surprises me is his pass-catching ability. Coming into tonight's game, he had caught 23 passes. We're going to take a look at his last touchdown, and here's what happens on the play. Sandusky will clear out the area. Pankratz will come out in the flat and go upfield, and when he does that, this linebacker will turn and run with him, and when Jenkins finally gets out here by himself, there will be nobody near him, and I think he's more surprised than anybody. All right, what you see, there goes the halfback. Here comes Pankratz. He turns upfield, but now there's nobody left to handle Kevan Jenkins.
Well, when Jenkins turns around here, Ron, he says, oh, nobody here. And
he
starts
took a
on
look.
that sidelines full speed. And you'll see Pankratz, he wants to play it safe. He just turns his back right there, and a defender flies off of him. Jenkins goes right down the sidelines for the big 7 points. And what a timely 7 points.
I think he was right here. I think he had to be shocked when he turned around. As he saw in the first half, many times he would catch the short pass and get hit in the back. This time he turned around and it was wide open. And that play right there could be the difference in the ballgame, Leo.
Well, we've talked all along about this young man before the show. We're going to talk about him right now, and we'll probably be talking about him after the show, too. This guy is a great football player. It's going to be a great second half.
Well, Don Whitman had the opportunity to talk to Kevan Jenkins. We'll hear what he had to say.
Jenkins, you really started quickly. You got your 100 yards rushing in that first quarter.
I wasn't aware of the 100 yards, but we had planned to come in and give what they take what they give us. They've been giving us the run. I think we deviated from that a little bit in the second quarter, but we're going to go back at halftime and regroup. I think we're going to come out with a little bit more running.
Kevan, on that touchdown you scored, were you a little surprised on that short pass that sideline opened up for you?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised because linebackers have been coming up, putting on good hits right when we catch the ball. but I turned around, there was no one there, and I got some good blocking downfield.
Kevan, you're off to a great start in this 1985 season. You're having another fine night tonight. Keep it up in the second half.
Thank you.
And you know that Kevan Jenkins is going to want to get that ball the second half. He probably went in there, Ron, during the halftime and said, Coach Matthews, just because they stopped me one time, they're not going to stop me again tonight. Give me that football.
Well, I know that man right there, Don Matthews, would be more than willing to give it to him.
But right now, the Toronto Argonauts will be getting the football as the kickoff goes to Townsend, and Townsend, going to the left side, works his way out to the 36-yard line. He was stopped there by Ryan Potter. Lou Pasaglia has certainly made a contribution over the years to the British Columbia Lion cause with his punting and place kicking. I don't know if it was Bernie Ruoff or Lou Pasaglia. Who would you choose as the number one man in the CFL?
I don't want to get into that one, Ron, do you?
They're excellent kickers.
This is a big drive here for Casal. If he gets some success here, he could be tough the second half, so he's got to put it together.
He overthrew the intended receiver, Townsend.
He had him open in that little bit of a hole behind the halfback and the safety man, and he has to learn to throw that ball in there at him, as well as Townsend has to learn to slow it down when he's in that open area.
And I think Casal is so anxious to get back in there and do something right that he may have aimed that a little bit and overpowered the ball instead of just hanging it in there like he should.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
He looked sharp on that one touchdown drive the Argos put together, but since then, that BC defensive unit has stopped him cold. Complete to Lester Brown, and let's see where they mark it. He was driven back from the 45-yard line by Kevin Kohner, but his progress may have carried out to the 45. Now they're going to mark it at the 44.
1 yard short. Everybody is crying in the stands, go for it, but this is a good move on Obilovich's part.
Well, you can see Kevin Konar just before the snap started to drop back out of there up close. He got deep. That means they're going to be in a zone. He comes back up. Lester Brown catches it underneath. He puts a hit on it.
You see Kevin go back and look into that hook zone, and the first thing he looked for was those crossing patterns, and saw him coming and just recovered up, made the tackle, and saved the first down.
Darnell Clash, the lone man back. Good kick by Alyssa. Clash takes it at the 8-yard line. He finds a hole on the sidelines, loses the football, but got it back.
Boy, he double dribbled that, triple dribbled it, and got it back. Look at him laying on the sidelines there, saying, oh my goodness, there looked like a lot of open daylight there, and I had to fumble the ball.
Just as well. There's a flag down. He was an awful tired.
It's going to be brought back regardless.
Man, you're the best. There it is right there. It's out in the open.
Get a legal block.
Get a stick and kill it.
DC 79 on the run back. First down.
So that takes the ball back to the 16-yard line. Darnell Clash, an exciting punt returner. One of the most exciting we've seen in a long, long while in the CFL. The screen pass to Kevan Jenkins, and that was one block away from perhaps going all the way.
Boy, that was, and they had a blocker downfield, too.
That was very close. They had Robinson outside, and then they had Merv Fernandez in the backfield, and he went in motion and came out there and was a blocker also, and he came within a half a block of being a long, long touchdown.
Well, Merv can throw the football, too. We're going to see one of these times Merv catch that ball out there in that hitch pass and throw a pass off of it.
Maintain his balance.
I'll tell you, I thought that ball was intercepted.
I did too. Dennis Clay, I think, had his hand, and it must have tipped right off of his hand.
We're going to get another look at it.
He's going to drill it, that's for sure. He throws it pretty good. Who is it? John Henry White tipped it. That surprised me. Dennis Clay made the tackle.
I don't know what Brazeley was doing. I don't know whether he didn't see the ball or what, but he looked like he was right in a position to pick it off.
A gain of 32 on that completion to Mervyn Fernandez. 1st and 10. They swing it out to Kevan Jenkins. And he is brought down by Gerald Wilson. Kevan Jenkins against the Montreal Concord had 139 rushing yards on 25 carries. In that game, he became the first line player to rush for over 100 yards since Ray Strong had 134 yards against Hamilton in 1983. And tonight, Kevan Jenkins, with still almost a half to go, has already run for 109 yards. This is Jim Sandusky. And Sandusky looking for that block from Fernandez. Still on his feet, and he gets to the 25-yard line. It's fumbled, recovered by Toronto.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing. They say that the Argonaut pulled it out of his hands on the way down, and this is going to cause a little controversy.
Oh, Sandusky is incensed. So are other members of that BC offensive unit. But the Toronto Argonauts will take over with Clay stripping Sandusky of the ball with 11:38 remaining in the third quarter. Argonauts will have the football at the 25, but I think they're rather fortunate to have the ball.
Well, they sure are. I thought that was a heck of a play. Well executed, and from here it looked like he was down, but maybe he lost it on the way down, but the Argonauts got a big break.
That was the same pass that they tried to hit him going across the middle right there before the half and overthrew it just a little bit.
Cassell along the sidelines, incomplete. It was intended for Paul Pearson. He was being pressured by Kevin Konar, and it was fired right into the BC bench.
About that play. You see Pankratz pointing? That's Darrell Wilson. They're coming with everybody they have. So all they do is Pankratz goes this way, and Sandusky comes into the middle. And watch how wide open he is. There is no safety man. He's already rushing. There he gets. Right into the middle. And the two Argonaut defenders, it looked like they ran into one another, and he's the only man on the screen, as you can see. Now maybe we'll get a look and see just what happened down here at the end of this play. All right, here comes Clay. I don't know.
Penalty flag on the play. The pass incomplete, intended for Pearson. It almost appeared as though Sandusky, thinking the play was dead, just simply released the ball with Clay trying to pull it away from him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, a lot of backs do that. When they're on the ground and the whistle's blown, they just let go of the ball.
A holding call against Toronto.
Holding. Toronto 56. Decline. Third down.
Ian Beckstead, the center. A University of Richmond product who was signed as a free agent after initially being drafted by Ottawa in 1983. Well, let's dub this man Mr. Excitement, because he certainly has been that and more. Darnell Clash waiting for the third down punt by Hank Olisic.
They've got the return on. They're setting up the wall, so if this guy has a little bit of room, look out. There's a big wall over here on this side. Nice play.
Good thing Carinci got him.
Nice play by Carinci.
Jan Carinci got through to stop Darnell Clash at the 40-yard line. A return of 5 after a 50-yard kick by Hank Olisic. But if Carinci had not broken through to stop Darnell Clash, he may have gone.
You see Darnell right there. He knew it was close. There's just, he trips him up. It's a good thing, because they're going to block Clay to the outside. You see Emery had position on him. And if he gets through there, there's a lot of open field.
On the 40.
Now we're going to see if they're going to go to their running game a little bit here.
They give it to Kevan Jenkins. He finds a hole up the middle, and he has a gain up to the 49-yard line. Stopped there by James Curry, a pickup of 9.
Jenkins carried.
As a guy that's been a great football player, he loves to play. Last year he was out for about 9 games with a broken leg, and they really missed him. Nick Hebler.
The Simon Fraser product, the 1979 territorial protection of the British Columbia Lions.
Well, they put Michael Gray in at his end position in this short yardage instead of Hebler. Let's see what Gray does.
Kevan Jenkins gets the first down, driving to the 53 of the Toronto Argonauts.
You know, Don, they do so well running out of that formation, short yardage. He may just leave those guys in and run it. They've averaged about 7 yards every time they've been in that formation.
Well, Jenkins is averaging 11.4 yards per carry. He's run the football 11 times tonight for 126 yards. First and 10 for the Lions at the 53 of Toronto. Sandusky, the pass receiver. Down the sidelines, another first down as he is taken out of bounds by Don Moan.
Boy, when contact was made with him that time, he grabbed both hands on that football, and he wasn't going to fumble it or have it pulled out of his hands that time for sure. You know, one of the nice things about Matthews, or good things about his coach teams, is that the specialty teams, the short yardage teams, all of the teams that you have to spend time on in order to be a good football team are well groomed and well coached.
Sandusky has caught 5 passes tonight for 86 yards. DeWalt will put it in the air again. Incomplete, intended for Sandusky.
Pass intended for Sandusky.
Fell over the past couple of years, BC, with the passing game, but tonight they're using the ground game a little more.
Take it in, out!
Everybody went right, and he just turned back and threw kind of a misdirection pass over there all by himself to Sandusky, but didn't get it on the money.
Penalty flag on the play. DeWalt is going to run with the ball. He's down at the 40-yard line by Rodney Harding. That flag in the backfield of the BC Lions, that usually indicates holding. 8:34 is the time remaining in this third quarter. The BC Lions in front of the Toronto Argonauts, 25-10.
Holding. BC 65. Decline. Third down.
65. Holding James Curry.
Gerald Roper working against James Curry.
Now, Gerald Roper is a fine offensive guard, but
sure
James Curry is very, very difficult to block.
Curry's got that good size. He's not one of them great big linemen. He's quick for a defensive lineman, and he gets them big guys moving around, he'll go around them.
So you happen to be about 6'8" and weigh 400 pounds. They won't ever call you for being held. If you're a little guy, they'll watch all the time.
Trying to angle it out of bounds, and Pasaglia puts it up, but not nearly as deep as he wanted. And with 8:08 remaining in this third quarter, the Toronto Argonauts will take over, 1st and 10. Afternoon on CBC Sports Weekend. We hope you'll be with us, and again, we hope that you are enjoying the action tonight from CNE Stadium. I'm sure all the BC Lion fans are certainly enjoying what has transpired so far. The BC Lions, after their 5th straight, have looked extremely sharp, offensively and defensively, as Tyrone Cruz hauls down Kerry Taylor on that short pass completion from Mark Cassell.
Tyrone Cruz makes the tackle.
Well, this is a test right here for Mark Cassell in this part of the field. That's number 1, that he moves the football team. Number 2, that he doesn't make any bad mistakes. Crowder on his back a little bit for throwing the ball out of bounds a couple of times, but up until now, he's done a fine job.
On 2nd down, he drills it in there for a first down to Kerry Taylor at the 26-yard line. Kevin Konar came in to make the tackle on Kerry Taylor. On that last punt by Lou Pasaglia, he was attempting to angle it out of bounds, trying to change the strategy just a little, because in that first half, each time he punted the ball, the Argos were letting it bounce into the end zone, giving up a single point, trying to get improved field position at the 35. The Lions, apparently in the second half, are going to try and prevent that.
They're going to keep him down in there if they can.
Pass is complete to Paul Pearson. Pearson puts on a good move to pick up a few additional yards as he got away initially and then was caught by Kevin Konar.
Jackson on the tackle.
It appears to be about a yard shy of a first down. And that's the signal that Paul Pearson relays to that Toronto bench. That prompts Bob Obilovich to send in the short yardage unit. Curry, Moan, and Mitchell come in.
Well, I'll tell you, if you got a quarterback as big as that Cassell and it's 3rd down and 1 yard to go, what would you do, Ron?
Well, he's going to carry, I would say.
Just
2nd down and 1. Look how tight the Lions defense is.
Just sneak it.
He had some problems, though, trying to fight his way through there. He had to get across that 35-yard line.
Well, I'll tell you, he may not have
He's
made it.
across it. Doesn't look like it.
No, sir. I don't believe he. Where is that ball?
Well, let's see where they're going to place it. It has to be just across the 35. It's close enough for a measurement, and they bring in the chain.
Art Darch, our spotter, says if the field is straight, he doesn't have it.
He doesn't have it. The president of the Spotters Union comes through again.
Yeah, that's why he's president.
Well, I think you have to go for it down here with the score when it is right now, and you just got the length of the football to go. It's a gamble. Here's where they check to make sure that defense is giving them a yard.
Casal will keep. He has it this time, but not by much.
Well, you saw Mike Gray and the rest of that defensive line right down low. They're coming in low, and his only hope was to climb over the top.
Well, it's a warm night here at CNE Stadium, a shirt sleeve type of night for the spectators and for Ron Leo and myself and Art Darch here in the Spotters box. Ed Milliken, new father-in-law. First and 10 from just across the 36. Casal's in trouble. He gets away from Hebler, throws the pass. And they rule that it is a catch by Greg Holmes, but he lost yardage.
Well, that's something you very seldom see. That was a pass thrown upfield and a forward pass that lost 5 yards. Well, at least 4.
They spot the ball back at the 33. Casal is finding out tonight just why this BC club is the best defensive unit in the league and is considered the top unit in the CFL. Greer takes it out of bounds at the 51 of the BC Lions.
Boy, threw that on the run, and he threw a strike just out of the reach of Darnell Clash. You see him looking this way. Now he scrambles. Watch him throw it on the run, and watch how close Clash comes. Close. Not close. No cigar.
5:06 is the time left to play in this third quarter. 25-10, the BC Lions lead the Argos. All the scoring so far in the first half of tonight's ball game. Intended for Paul Pearson, incomplete. Good coverage provided there by Eric Emery.
Coach Matthews does not like this because all of a sudden the field position has changed in favor of the Toronto Argonauts.
And Coach Matthews was anticipating a roll to the wide side of the field that time, and he blitzed Nelson Martin to the wide side. Casal crossed him up, come back the other way. Stay out of trouble.
Second and 10 from the 51. Intended for Terry Taylor, incomplete. He was being covered by Andre Jones. So it's third and 10 for the Argos, a punting situation again. But they did get the ball out of their own zone. They were deep in their own territory. And Darnell Clash will be joined this time by Jim Sandusky on that punt return unit.
Ankalisic has done a pretty good job of punting tonight. Maybe it's that they've taken the burden of those field goals off of him for a while, then he can concentrate on punting the football.
Darnell Clash in his own 3-yard line. The Argonaut players are indicating that they've got the ball, but there has been no official time. Yes, they did. It will be first and goal from the 5, Toronto, when we return.
Topaz, the hot...
Well, Brian, a big opportunity here for the Toronto Argonauts to get right back in the ball game. It will be first and goal from the 5-yard line.
Boy, Donnie Matthews hates those mistakes. You can tell that by the expression on his face in the sidelines. Said it's nice to run for a touchdown, but hold on to that football.
Looks like it just slips out, doesn't it? Looks like it just slipped out. I don't know who had it or who hit it, if anybody did.
And the man who pounced on that loose ball was Ian Bexton. And now it's first and goal from the 5-yard line. Casale is being chased by Konar. He got the pass away, looking for Terry Greer or Kerry Taylor over there on the far side of the field.
Well, the two outside receivers went right in there and just obliterated. How do you say that? They just ran right in front of those defensive backs, and Kerry Taylor broke so wide open. The only thing was, Casale didn't have time to throw the football. Had he been able to throw the football, it would have been touchdown without any question of a doubt.
He needed to throw it quicker. He had to see that guy. They had 3 guys running a pick.
How about obliterated?
Well, they did.
Second and goal. Casale throwing for Greer, incomplete.
Well, BC Lion defense getting tough down here. Both times they came with everybody, and I think they've got to go after this. I don't think they can kick the field goal. Down 15.
Kick a field goal, 2 touchdowns win for you.
Well, you better tell Obilovich that he's not sending them in. Looks like they're going to go after it, Bill.
Well, it's nice for the fans to see this kind of a gamble, but against a defense like the BC Lions, 5 yards is a long way to go.
Boy, it is.
Third and goal from the 5. Casale has it intercepted in the end zone by Mel Bird. He was trying to throw it back to Terry Greer, and he badly underthrew the wide receiver, and Mel Bird was there to make the interception.
Well, we've said many times, trying to throw back across your body is just about impossible. Terry Greer's wide open. That's good defense there. You're allowed to do that, but look how wide open he is right now. But right there, Cassell's running for his life. He underthrew the ball. Mel Bird standing there waiting. That's 4 interceptions now for Bird.
And he could be gaining a little consideration for the Darling O'Keefe game star.
From the 25, it's first and 10 BC. Mervyn Fernandez working against Carl Braisley. Braisley takes him out of bounds. 3:01 is the time left. Mel Bird with his 4th interception of the season. That ties him for the lead in the Canadian Football League with Terry Irvin of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And, of course, Terry Irvin will get a chance to improve upon that total when he faces the Calgary Stampeders at McMahon Stadium on Saturday night, and that game will be televised on the CBC National Network. Second and 9, British Columbia. Draw play with Keevan Jenkins. All the way to the 47-yard line.
Boy, he's a Russian Jesse, but those extra last couple moves there so often allow a defender to get in there and knock that ball loose. And the whistle had blown. We'll see the perfect draw play. It just opened up like a suitcase. And watch the block there on middle linebacker William Mitchell. Puts a move on Clay and just keeps on his feet. But the ball came out there at the last moment, but the whistle had blown.
That was a gain of 21, and Keevan Jenkins now has 147 rushing yards. And Ron Robinson takes that Roy DeWalt pass for what appears to be another BC first down. Not a bad night for Keevan Jenkins. 12.2 yards an average per carry.
Down.
He's looking at the back there. Now he turns. He's going back to the other way. And Ronnie Robinson's just standing on the sidelines. He almost splits these 2 guys and gets away.
That's what you call directing it out there, too. He put something on that.
From the 51, first and 10 BC. Keevan Jenkins, the ball carrier.
Goodbye.
Caught by Bo Metcalf, but not before he hit the end zone.
Well,
51 yards for the touchdown for Keevan Jenkins.
That was a great job of open field running. Watch that line blocking.
Watch this block right here. Gerald Roper will come through right there, and watch the block he makes right here. That's what springs him. It's a counter coming back. 65 comes through the hole. Look at it.
Look at
Bang.
that. That's the way you like to see it.
Oh.
Nice block in there, too, by, it looked like Roper coming back. Who was that? 60? May have been
Roper
John
and Blaine.
John
Yeah.
Blaine was coming back in there, too, and made a beautiful peel black.
But the key block was diagrammed by Gerald Roper, and a 51-yard touchdown by Keevan Jenkins. The point after by Lou Pasaglia. And with 1:13 remaining in the third quarter, it's now 32-10. The BC Lions in front. Keevan Jenkins, the offensive star of the week. He may receive a similar honor this week in the CFL.
I know that rush certainly helped his average.
You know, Don, maybe you know more about this than I do, but it seems to me someone pointed out on the radio before the game as we look at this again, Keevan had 2 serious injuries last year and came back off of both of them. We saw that first block by Roper, the second block by Blaine, and then it was all Keevan the rest of the way. He just outran everybody.
Well, he now has 2 touchdowns tonight, a league-leading total of 8.
Hey, Murph!
Last week, he had 3 touchdowns against Montreal. Kerry Taylor finds a bit of an opening, but it quickly closes. Bruce Barnett and Nelson Martin came in to make the tackle.
Well, the Argonauts had their chance when they recovered that fumble down on the 10-yard line. Got down to the 5-yard line, but were held off the scoreboard completely when they tried for it on 3rd and 5.
You didn't like that call, did you?
Well, I'll tell you, I'd take those 3 points and then hope I could score a couple more touchdowns because 3 is a lot better than nothing.
We're into the final minute of the third quarter. Cassell will get a chance to throw as he's caught by James Parker.
But I'd be quick to point out, Ron, that I think that Coach Obilovich just felt at this juncture of the ball game that it was worth the gamble, and I certainly wouldn't second-guess him on it.
Well, that was an awful good defensive play by James Parker. If you want to watch a good play, watch Bronk. It looks like he has got Parker blocked, and he'll come back to the inside and make the play. You just can't do anything better than that.
Bronk rolled him off the lip of the cup, but not enough.
Pass intended for Paul Pearson, incomplete. And the Argos are forced into a punting situation again.
That was an awful long throw. You roll to the short side of the field over almost to the numbers and throw it back to the numbers on the other side of the field. That ball's in the air a long, long way.
It looked like at the last moment there that the air just went out of the ball. It just dropped right down.
Just died.
There's Michael Gray down with what appears to be a cramp, hopefully. I say I hope it's a cramp because he's a very important part of that front 4.
Well, compared to other teams in the CFL this season, the BC Lions have been very fortunate as far as injuries are concerned.
Well, you know, it's amazing. They've only made 1 change since the beginning of the season. 1 only, and that was to move Gooch to the corner, replacing Wendell Williams, and putting Andre Jones back on the roster. Outside of that, that 34-man roster for their games has stayed intact.
Well, and you got personnel like they have, and you can manage to keep them healthy throughout a whole season. You've got a leg up on a chance to win it all. Don Matthews, age 45, University of Idaho. There's a linebacker out there.
Good run, Keevan. Good job, man. First leg is that.
You know who his teammate was?
He's been used to winning, hasn't he?
You know who his teammate was?
Yeah, his teammate is Steve Brado. Steve Brado, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. Well, we've got a moment here. I've got to tell you that this program is copyright. It's strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Well, the atmosphere of the BC Lion bench.
There's John Ferrone in the shorts. They missed him. Bob Obilovich said in the press conference yesterday that two of their leaders, John Perone and Conridge Holloway, not in the ball game. Or Dan Perone. What did I say? John Perone?
Way to go, Mike. Way to go, babe.
Mike Gray limping off to that BC Lion bench.
I think it was a cramp, though, Don.
Well, statistically, the BC Lions have really moved in front of the Argos. After the first quarter, the Argos had a slight edge thanks to a much stronger passing attack. Ankelisic's punt goes to Darnell Clash on the run, and Darnell Clash spins away and continues fighting, but he did not stay in bounds.
Tell you one thing, he knows where the goal line is, doesn't he?
He's a water bug, isn't he?
And that is also the final play of the third quarter, with BC leading 32-10.
How you on the left or right? We really held him up that time. Did you get a good...
Mike Gray is the player they're working on at that BC bench.
All right.
So Reichelt, the trainer, removing the tape from the left leg of Mike Gray.
There's those big knee braces that a lot of the linemen are wearing now. A lot of teams are making them compulsory that they wear them.
Well, now they're going to go to work on the right leg as well, so it would appear that Mike Gray is finished for the balance of this ball game. He has had the tape and the braces removed. The product of Oregon. He had a couple of tryouts with Seattle before finally gaining employment this year with the BC Lions.
Well, the BC Lions are right on schedule. In their first 4 games, they've only given up an average of about 200 yards a game offense. And right now, the Argonauts have, what, about 175? So looks like we got a referee injured.
Freddie Dunbar over at the Argo bench working on referee Lauren Woods. And the head of CBC Sports, Don McPherson, is taking in tonight's ball game here at CNE Stadium. Sandusky goes wide to the left. Fernandez to the right. The opening play of the fourth quarter. The ball throwing deep. He has Sandusky open. Touchdown. And there's also a penalty flag on the play. I believe they're going to call Bo Metcalf for screening, but it really is of little consequence because Sandusky made the catch for the touchdown.
It was just a one-on-one all the way down that sidelines.
Defensive forward pass interference. Toronto 26. Decline. Touchdown scores.
Well, in the opening minutes of the game, we thought that it looked as though a rout might be taking place, and now it is.
In the fourth quarter, looking at the score, I think it is. You're right.
They're just getting adjusted to the time change.
The point after by Lou Pasaglia. And the BC Lions in this second half are having things pretty much their own way. 39-10, they lead the Toronto Argonauts. And the BC Lions are certainly going to enjoy the 2-week break they get in the schedule now.
Boy, you know, that's a well-thrown football. And look at Pankratz, how wide open he was going down the middle. And he just overthrew the coverage. Metcalf never had a chance. If you ever get even with the defender, you're open. And as soon as he got even with it, DeWalt let it go.
Why is that? Because you're running one direction, he's running the other.
He has to turn around. When he has to turn around, you should outrun him.
Hi, Terry. I have a pretty back on.
Well, that saves the price of a phone call. Passing along greetings to all the viewers back at home as Townsend on the kickoff return is stopped right at the 19-yard line. And the BC Lions have dominated in every department on special teams, defensively, offensively. They have really looked sharp tonight.
I have a feeling he's probably finished for the night. Roy's probably going to take it easy, and he'll get Cowan ready to go.
Well, the one thing that you can observe is that the new quarterback for the Argonauts has made some good plays and hung in there pretty tough. Mark Cassell, but for a consistency factor over a whole game, he's not going to be able to do it until he has a lot more time in grade.
The rookie, Mark Napierkowski, is playing that defensive tackle position in place of Gray. The pass complete to Townsend for a first down out to the 47-yard line.
Well, that's that pass they threw early in the third quarter when we said he's trying to hit that dead spot or that open spot just behind the corner. This time Townsend was in it, and he laid it in there.
Well, Mark Cassell, Ron's done a lot of good things in this ball game. It's just as I said before, over an entire game, if you don't have the experience, it's tough to make the play after play.
And especially against the defense as strong as BC's. They can make anybody look ordinary.
Now we got Mr. Cowan warming up on the sidelines, and maybe we're going to see him.
Hohensie is in at quarterback, and he passes complete to Greg Holmes. First down at the 39.
Hohensie is from the University of Minnesota. Played for Ray Yock down in Washington for a while. Tried out with Saskatchewan this year.
He's a 2-year veteran of the USFL. He played with the Washington Federals. He's activated from a 21-day trial. The backup starting this game with the injury to Conrad Holloway, and now he has replaced Mark Cassell. And he looks for Kerry Taylor, throwing incomplete.
Intended for Taylor.
So it will be 2nd and 10 for the Toronto Argonauts. They are at the 39 as Jan Carinci comes into the ball game, and going out is Lester Brown. 13:34 is the time remaining in this fourth quarter. 39-10 is the score. The BC Lions in front. 2nd and 10 Toronto from the 39 of BC. Hohensie, the quarterback. Picked off. It was intended for Terry Greer, covered by Darnell Clash.
Wentz's pass.
Leo made a statement earlier that the BC Lions are well-schooled defensively. They tried to set the screen up to Jan Carinci that time, and he had a white jersey with him all the way. That's why Hohensie had to throw it downfield.
I'm still trying to figure out how Hohensie got the ball game.
He just came in from the sideline.
I tell you, he's kind of quick, too, isn't he?
So Mel Bird is the lone man back as the Argos attempt the field goal. They got enough people out there? I think they're 2 men short.
Yeah.
But Chomik still gets the kick away. It falls short. It bounces into the end zone. And Mel Bird is going to run around a little back there, and apparently he did step out of bounds. But the Argos lined up for that field goal with just 10 men on the playing field. We'll be back after this. National League East pennant. And the Toronto Argonauts were trying to get back in this football game at CNE Stadium, but with the single point on the missed field goal attempt, the BC Lions will get the ball at the 39, the point of last scrimmage. Tim Cowan, the quarterback, as we anticipated, replacing Roy DeWalt. And Ryan Potter has gone into the ball game, taking over from Kevan Jenkins. So any hopes that Kevan Jenkins had of perhaps establishing a single-game rushing record go down the drain. He finishes with 198 yards. If, in fact, he doesn't return, the CFL record 287, set by Ron Stewart of Ottawa back in 1960. Pass intended for Pankratz, incomplete.
Pass intended for John Pankratz.
James Parker, a former Shenley Award winner.
Now a quarterback for the Lions.
And Darnell Clash, an exceptional punt returner, enjoying this game. And there's certainly, as I said earlier, a different atmosphere when you look at the BC bench as compared to the Toronto bench.
The winners tell funny stories, and the losers holler roll them.
Just over 31,000 taking in the action tonight, and Cowan passes complete to Ron Robinson. First down at the 51 of Toronto.
Now Cowan's pass completed to Robinson. 19-yard gain.
You'll see Robinson coming from the left side. He just as soon as he gets a step on a defender, the ball's in the air.
Could have been thrown better. I said before the game I thought this was as good or the best 1-2 combination in Canada right now, but we've got a couple other good ones. Clemens and Huffnagel over there in Winnipeg. These guys are having a success.
Sideline pattern incomplete, intended for Sandusky. He was being covered by Carl Braisley.
College pass intended for
He
Sandusky.
threw that one in the right place, out of bounds, because there was nobody open.
Well, right now, I don't think it's difficult to pick a Carling O'Keefe offensive game star. Keevan Jenkins has a lock in that one, in my opinion, but what about a defensive award?
Well, I picked Jenkins. You guys get to pick the defensive star.
What happened?
You're bailing out, are you, Lancaster?
No, there's quite a few down there that you can get it to.
A couple pretty good defensive backs in there tonight.
Rodney Harding wrapped up the ball carrier, John Henry White, and forced the BC Lions into a punting situation. He was signed as a free agent. He's a product of Oklahoma State.
Go over. Go over. And under.
11:20 is the time left to play. 39-11. The BC Lions lead the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, we made it work, so if we do a double negative. Okay, go over and under now. No, let's see where it is.
This one is going to bounce into the end zone, and it will be a single point as Jan Carinci goes down on one knee. That comes with 10:55 remaining. And viewers in Southern Ontario and Windsor will see the German Grand Prix beginning at 4 Eastern Time. The rest of the country will see the Grand Prix at the conclusion of the Montreal-Pittsburgh baseball game on Sunday. Don Matthews, the head coach of the BC Lions, the 11th head coach in the history of the club. A record of 27 wins, 8 losses, and 1 tie in the 2 years that he has been the head man of the Lions, and the 4 previous games he has played this season. That will now improve to 28, 8-1 with tonight's victory, 10:55 away.
He's got one of those, when the game's over, I got to rip 4 caps. No, I got those voted to live.
First and 10, Toronto from the 35-yard line after that 54-yard single by Lou Pasaglia. Owense's pass. Incomplete. For a moment, I thought that maybe Kevin Konar or Tyrone Cruz had stepped in front of that throw intended for Lester Brown.
Well, they try that screen pass again, and Konar was just sitting right on him.
Don mentioned 2 names that have to get some consideration for our game star. Both Konar and Cruz have played outstanding.
Second and 10 from the 35. Pass complete to Kerry Taylor. Kerry Taylor gets away from Andre Jones, but then Jones comes back to assist in the tackle with help from Nelson Martin.
Well, you see him blitzing, and then Taylor comes back against the flow, right back inside. He makes the catch and then eludes Jones. Jones knows that's his man. He better go get him.
On the BC 53.
Kerry Taylor has been a busy pass receiver tonight for the Toronto Argonauts. Lester Brown takes the handoff to the 50-yard line. That will be a pickup of 3. It will be 2nd and 7. Kind of a nice position for the BC Lions to be in, winning their 5th of the season, although it is not over yet, but I don't think there's much doubt they are going to emerge as the winners, and then having 16 days before their next game.
Especially when you're healthy. That's the main thing.
Well, I hope the sun doesn't shine too much out in BC, because they'll have to have some parties out there now in the next 2 weeks.
Well, the sun has been shining on the West Coast. They've had beautiful weather for about the past 32 days. And Mel Byrd has another interception. That's his 2nd of the game and 5th of the season.
Boy, he just sat back there deep, and they tried to lay it in the middle and overthrew the receiver right into Mel Byrd's arms. He's the deep man on that particular defense. He just stays back there and makes sure nothing goes over his head.
Well, you got to look a long way to try to find a weakness in this football team, offensively or defensively.
Well, I'll tell you what, Leo, I agree with you 100%. I don't know what their weakness is right now. They're not playing like they have any. And as you mentioned earlier, even the special teams are excellent.
So Mel Bird is now the CFL leader in the interception department with his 5th of the year. And it's 1st and 10 for the BC Lions. They are at their own 19-yard line. And Kevan Jenkins is back in the ball game. So with that run, he goes over the 200-yard mark.
Well, we've got the running formation.
I was going to say, we mentioned that earlier, and there they are, the big guys.
The short yardage offense is out there for the Lions. Kevan Jenkins now with 14 carries for 203 yards. He gets the ball again, still on his feet. And he stumbled to the 25. Had he been able to maintain his balance, he had some room down that right side. It was Walter Ballard who made the initial contact with Jenkins to trip him up.
What do you think about that, Leo? Put that short yardage offense in there and run the football.
I think
8 minutes left.
I think it accomplishes two things. It doesn't try to rub it in as far as throwing long passes are concerned to run up the score, but it also gives Kevan Jenkins an opportunity to fatten his batting average as far as his running is concerned, and to give their short yardage offensive unit a chance to get some good work. So I think it's good.
Lou Pasaglia's 3rd down punt is going to bounce out of bounds. No opportunity for a return, and they mark it at the 37. So that's where the Toronto Argonauts will scrimmage with 7:46 remaining. The sun may still be shining out on the west coast with the change in time, but here in Toronto we have a moon over CNE Stadium with 7:46. The time left to play in the ball game, and Mike Hohensee has replaced Mark Cassell as Toronto quarterback. Throws for Terry Greer. It's picked off. And Mel Bird has his 3rd of the game. Terry Greer makes the tackle at the 49 of the Toronto Argonauts.
I'll show you what. Here's what Hohensee does wrong. Just watch this man. They're in a zone defense back there, so all they do is watch him. Hohensee watches and telegraphs his pass all the way. He looks over there all night. Bird just goes to the ball. If you're going to throw into a zone, you better throw it quick, throw it hard, and look away once in a while. And he didn't do it. Threw it right into Bird's hand.
So Mel Bird now has 6 interceptions on the season. Kevan Jenkins will get an opportunity to run for more yards as he fights his way to the 44. Stopped there by Dan Rashovich. Melvin Bird, 5'9", 165 pounds, out of Cal Davis. You didn't miss anybody in saying hello, did you, Mel?
Well, we'll come back to him if you missed somebody.
Now 209 rushing yards for Kevan Jenkins. Jenkins has gone to the bench. Potter is in the lineup. The pass is complete to John Pankratz. Pankratz trying to get away from Clay, but he is unable to do that and is forced out of bounds, and the BC Lions will punt. You know, you talked earlier about not running up the score. I never agreed with that. I think you go out there with a game plan. Your offense is instructed to try and score points with a certain objective in mind, and if you keep scoring, more power to you.
Well, I can see that you've never stood on the other side of the field while somebody was scoring on you.
I'll tell you, the guy you feel sorry for is Tim Cowan. You know, he looks forward to getting in a game and performing, and he's kind of hampered and limited to what he can do.
Penalty flag on the play as Lou Pasaglia puts it through. Apparently the flag was against Toronto.
Flag is down.
We're going to decline it.
Procedure against BC. The initial reaction of the BC players was that it was against Toronto, but they weren't making the decision. It was the officials
What'd they say?
He's calling for his field goal unit. Smile, Coach Matthews.
What?
So Don Matthews is going to send that field goal unit out there again.
Procedure, BC, third down repeat.
Lou Pasaglia says, that doesn't bother me. Any 5 more yards?
So this will be a field goal try from 54 yards with 6:07 remaining in the game. He's got it. Wise decision on the part of the coach. A 54-yard field goal by Lou Pasaglia makes it 43-11. The Lions leading the Argos with 5:59 left in the game.
Coach Matthews has missed an important part of life. You know what that is?
Losing. Learning how to lose, right? Things a little different on that side of the field, though.
Well, I'd say you can't expect much more from 2 young quarterbacks, especially against a team like this.
Owensy lost the football. It bounced up, and he grabbed it again. It almost looked as though that ball slipped out of his hand as he attempted to throw it.
Very wise move. If he throws the ball, it's another interception.
The Argonaut coach says, let's put that one in.
That linebacker is right in his way out there. He tried to throw the slant to Greer. The linebacker showed up, and he tried to pull it down. That takes years of practice to catch that ball in the hop.
That's right. Reverse, with the reverse English.
So it is a first down up to the 46-yard line. Owensy pass is complete to Greg Holmes for another first down. He took that pass in front of Keith Gooch.
He's had a pretty easy night tonight, hasn't he, Gooch?
Indeed he has.
Oh, there's no question that the Toronto Argonauts sorely miss Conridge Holloway.
You can't get away.
He has been the engineer of that offense for the last 3 or 4 years. It really doesn't operate as efficiently or nearly as efficiently without him.
Owensy is going to run this one. And wisely he goes down as he had 4 Lions converging on him.
They're going to let him do that. He can do that any time he wants. He can do it for another 4.5 minutes if he wants to.
Greg Holmes coming into the ball game as Jeff Townsend goes out. 4:07 is the time left to play. Paul Pearson goes wide to the right. Complete to Terry Greer. He steps out of bounds down at the 19-yard line.
Wednesday's pass was completed to Terry Greer.
Watch Terry go down. He's going to find a dead spot. You see, that's his own defense. Those guys are just dropping back. He finds a hole and stops. Once he finds him, he gets out of bounds.
Gain of 21 for Terry Greer. He has caught 4 passes tonight for 79 yards and has scored a touchdown. The only touchdown the Argos have scored tonight. Greer again out of bounds down at the 5-yard line. Another Toronto first down.
Wednesday's pass completed to Greer.
This guy's a fine athlete. Went to high school in Memphis, Tennessee. Alabama State University graduate.
First and goal.
Signed by the Argos in 1980, and he has been the key man in their passing attack since arriving with the double blue.
Well, they're down there again. Let's see what happens. Greer's over here by himself.
From the 5 into the end zone, incomplete. He overthrew Terry Greer on that pattern.
Greer is incomplete.
It's like kind of a timing pattern. Greer's going to try to just get outside. Hohensy's just going to lay it up to the sidelines. Gooch interrupted it when he hit him. Hit Greer coming off.
That time Lester Brown broke wide open. They're sending in a replacement for him right now. Maybe they try to get the ball to Grinchy. They like to throw the ball down here inside the 10-yard line to Bronk coming out of the backfield. ability the way that Hohensee worked around there and got that ball off at the last moment to Taylor.
What they did is they picked on that side again, but BC was in a zone, so he had to look somewhere else, and Taylor went right under the goalpost, right behind him, got open.
Pretty good job by that quarterback, though, being off balance and throwing against the grain, still getting it in there.
Point after, and it's a 43-18 ball game with the BC Lions in front. And we'll be back with the Argo kickoff after this. Picking that offensive game star isn't going to be much of a task tonight. That man, 23, Keevan Jenkins, has it wrapped up. Mel Bird has 3 interceptions. He could be the defensive game star. Well, will the Argos try the short kick? Yes, they do, but it's far too deep as Merv Fernandez takes it at the 39-yard line. And out to the 42, and that's where the BC Lions will scrimmage with 2:49 left to play.
It's not a very good short kick, but I mean, you got to kick that thing high to the sidelines.
First down.
Well, we're going to see Taylor. You see everybody coming inside. Now they're going to run Pearson outside, and since it was his own defense, now Taylor just goes and finds a hole. Hohensee finds him. He sneaks in. Easy game.
Tim Cowan throwing on the sidelines to John Henry White, about 2 yards short of a first down.
Slap it. Way to go, Slough. Slap it.
Cowan pass. To White.
The BC Lions will improve their record to 5-0, and Nick Hebler among those looking forward to the big break before their next game on the 17th of August against the Calgary Stampeders.
Nick and all his friends.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Oh, don't do that.
John Henry White gets the first down to the midfield stripe. Nick was talking about maybe going fishing over the next few days, as I'm sure Don Matthews will give them some time off.
I think when you're 5-0 and 16 days between games, you earn a couple days off.
43-18. The Lions lead with 2:14 left in the ball game, and it's John Henry White. Gain of about 7 before being stopped by Dan Rasevich.
I think something somebody forgets that most of us forget is that Keevan Jenkins has really done an outstanding job. But number 20, John Henry White, he earns his way every game he ever plays. Excellent blocker, good receiver, disciplined player, leader on the team. John Henry White's been that way.
10 years in the league. That's a long time for a running back.
Not very big either.
Potter gets inside the 45-yard line. He's the son of a former CFLer. Rick Potter, who played with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a few years back.
And as we look around the stands, they're beginning to thin. The Argos have gotten pretty used to winning in the last several years. Without Conridge in there, it's going to be tough.
Come on, let's go, team. Let's go. Come on, get it.
Well, it just evens it out a little bit for everybody else. All teams, it helps the other teams. It's tough for Conridge. You hate to see that happen to any ball player.
There's the pitch to John Henry White. He fumbles the football. The Argos have got it. Darrell Wilson grabbed that ball as it popped into the air.
Oh, John Henry hates that. They were marching with that ball, too. He was making some substantial gains, but that was a real hit that bounced that ball up in the air, but just perfectly bounced right into the defender's hands.
Cliff Hewitt. He put the hit on him. Ball popped up.
1:24 is the time left. It's a first down for the Argos. They are at their own 37-yard line. Oh, and the hit by James Parker, the loose ball, and the BC Lions, with Rick Clausen scooping it up, will take over.
Boy, that was just a great job of acceleration by Parker. Once he delivered his blow on the offensive blocker, he just turned it on. Oh, he never saw him coming.
That's for sure. Parker
Turns back the other way. Watch Parker accelerate. Boom. And he stripped him of that ball. Just right down over those arms, the ball came loose.
So James Parker forces a turnover, and the BC Lions are at the 34 of the Toronto Argonauts with 1:17 left to play. Sandusky on the sidelines. It's incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10.
Sandusky will come back down and throw that ball right at me. Do not leave me upfield on a hitch. Leads you right into Metcalf territory.
Hello to Maggie, Ryan Robinson.
Go ahead.
Dr. Woo Woo.
Just as soon as he makes a couple more tackles, he's going to invest in a new pair of gloves.
Cowan throwing it for Fernandez. It bounces and into the arms of Cliff Hewitt.
Well, you saw Mervyn Fernandez knew he wasn't going to catch the ball. He tried to bat it down with his left hand, and it ended up right in Hewitt's arms.
Intercepted by Hewitt.
So late in this ball game, it is turning over. First, the BC Lions give it up. They get it right back, and now the Argos, with another interception, take over at their own 6-yard line.
They couldn't possibly do it again, could they?
Parker will go in there and say, let's get it back one more time.
One more time. That last fumble, Gray thought he was going to pick it up and run for a touchdown. He might want to try to get one.
Intended for Paul Pearson, incomplete.
Passenger for Pearson, incomplete.
2nd and 10. Holensey took over from Mark Cassell in the 4th quarter. Cassell, number 17. And, of course, he was elevated to number 1 status among Argo quarterbacks with the injury last Friday to Conrad Holloway. It's going to keep Holloway out of the lineup 6 to 8 weeks. They are anticipating that he may be back in time for the game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Draw play, the quarterback, Holensey, keeping. He is stopped short of the first down.
That was a quarterback draw all the way. Just felt that BC team was coming in there with kind of an undisciplined rush, and the quarterback could step back and find a seam and get that first down. But it didn't work out that way. They're too quick.
Well, Bilovich is hoping that Holloway, as I said, will be back for that game against Winnipeg on the 27th of September. But unless the Argonauts can start generating some consistent offense before then, they may find themselves in some trouble in this Eastern Conference race.
Well, I think so. I think that a lot of the teams are pretty even anymore.
Well, we've seen Ottawa come along in the 2 games that we've seen them. They're a contender over here now. Montreal certainly
is stopped at the 50-yard line. 28 seconds is the time remaining. Steve Delcall was in there to make the tackle.
Darnell has run about 100 miles tonight.
He never gets tired.
Well, you know, you talked about all aspects of the BC Lions game. Punt returns, kickoff returns. Lou Pasaglia, one of the top punters and placement kickers in the league. Defensively, offensively, there really isn't a weakness with this BC Lion team.
Sure doesn't appear to be, Don.
That takes the clock down to 24 seconds.
The only weakness that they could have is the fear of complacency, and I don't think that Coach Matthews is going to allow that.
Perhaps the only weakness, Crazy George doesn't look as good as the Argo Sunshine Girls.
I'll go along with that.
That takes the clock down to 2 seconds. So the final play of this ball game coming up as the BC Lions remain the only undefeated team in the Canadian Football League. They defeat the Toronto Argonauts here at CNE Stadium by a score of 43-18. That's the final. BC over Toronto. A convincing 43-18 win for the Lions over the Argos, and the winning coach, Don Matthews, standing by on the sidelines. And Don, heading into the 2-week break, you have to be very pleased with the performance tonight.
Yeah, that was really a worry to us because we only had a few days of practice. In fact, we played 3 games in 12 days, and we weren't in pads this whole last week. I really give a lot of credit to our football team because without their usual practice, they really came through with the mental reps and performed very well.
Coach, it looks like you adjusted to the time change around the second half. What did you tell those guys during the half to get them fired up? After that first touchdown, they kind of went into a doldrum that first half.
Well, a lot of credit goes to the Toronto Argonauts on that one, Leo. You know, they were playing some pretty good defense, and they had a little bit of a confusing thing where they were taking their linebacker over and putting him to the wide field, and we needed a little time to make some adjustments. But just before the half, we went to the weak side, and Kevan ran it in. That gave us a big lift.
Don, 5-0 heading to the break.
Okay.
Most coaches are glad to see the break come to get people back from injury. You don't have any injuries. Would you just soon keep playing, or are you happy to have the break?
No, we're happy to have the break, Ronnie, because we played, as I said, those 3 games so very, very close. Our players are a little bit tired mentally, and I think that as long as we can have that break, get away from it all, I think we'll come back with a fresh outlook on things.
I think this time of year it's nice to get Cowan in there and give him a chance to play like he did tonight, too, because he needs that work just like Roy does, and he got in there and did a pretty good job.
You're right, Leo. We got a lot of guys in. We were able to get some people in and get them some playing experience, and anytime you can do that, you know that's money in the bank for later on in the year.
Don Matthews, congratulations on the win tonight, and we'll see you on August 17th when you face the Calgary Stampeders when you return to action.
Thanks a lot, and I'd like to send my love once again to Catherine.
Jenkins and Mel Bird certainly own a citizen on their performance tonight, and Kevan, I think you may also merit some consideration for Player of the Week honors in the CFL with your effort tonight. You were flying out there again tonight, over 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, we planned on going into the game. We planned on doing a lot of running against the Argonauts because we knew that they wouldn't be able to stop our offense. The line has been blocking great. I want to congratulate them on the good effort tonight, which allowed me to get over the 200 yards.
Kevan, did you work a little bit on the Argonaut defense being real aggressive with their defensive following the ball? Because you came with that misdirection play where you start in one direction then go back the other way, and it looks like you left that defense in your wake as you went back away from the flow.
Oh, yeah, we worked on that play in practice a whole lot. We figured that they would be coming upfield hard, which would allow us to run that play and get it up the field quite a bit. I really didn't expect it to go the distance, but I'll take it any time it comes.
Kevan, we have an opportunity to look at your touchdown just before the end of the half. Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, that was a simple out pass. I turned around. The linebackers, they were playing close, and I turned around. There was no one out there, and I just sprinted up the sideline, got some good blocking, and went for a touchdown.
All right, well, congratulations, Kevan Jenkins, on being chosen our Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star. Mel Bird, 3 interceptions tonight. A big night for you as you now lead the CFL in that category.
Yeah, it was quite a night out there, 3 in one game. I've never done that before. Like I say, defensively, we were, flying around the field. The front four did a great job.
Well, Ron Lancaster said up here in the booth that one time there that Hohensee looked, he didn't walk away from the coverage at all. He just looked over to your side. You saw him all the way, and you knew he was going to come over there, and you just went from the middle of the field and went right over and picked that ball off. You played it all the way.
Yeah, they weren't reading our secondary too well, and we were basically trying to give them some false reads, and I just happened to, read the quarterback and get to the area.
Well, Mel, here's the play we were talking about. Hohensee throws it right to you. Would like to talk about it? The last one.
Yeah, well, like we were in the zone, and I was just in the outside third, just getting to the ball and just, having to be in the right place. So we turned upfield. We always have a good opportunity to score any time of return, so just try to get the ball upfield.
Well, Mel Bird and Kevan Jenkins, I'm sure you're looking forward to the 2-week break before the next game on the 17th of August. Congratulations on being chosen our Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Star.
Thank you.
43-18, the final score here at CNE Stadium in Toronto. And now let's go to Brian Williams at CFL 80.